Coming up on today's San Francisco 49ers Report, the latest around a potential Nick Bosa contract extension, but also a conversation about his future with this team. Let me ask you this question. If Nick Bosa demands $35 million per year, overtaking Aaron Donald as the highest paid defensive player in the history of football, what would you do if you were the Niners organization? Would you pay him type P? Would you trade him for an absolute haul type T? Let me know down in the comments section, and let's start today's show. All right, welcome into the San Francisco 49ers Report. I'm Chase Senior. No matter where you are or how you're tuned in, we appreciate all of you for making the 49ers Report a part of your day. On the docket for today's show, ESPN putting together an article led by Bill Barnwell, and he explained how Nick Bosa could become the highest paid defensive player in the history of the National Football League. But as part of that, you look at that contract range, $32, $35 million. Should San Francisco consider trading him for a haul of assets? Let's have an open-minded conversation and open up the forum. First, though, today's show is sponsored by Bird Dogs. Use the promo code CHAT at birddogs.com, and you can get a free Yeti-style tumbler with your first purchase. Spring is here. Summer is coming up right around the corner. Bird Dog shorts will have you looking and feeling good. You know what they say, dress for the job that you want, not the job that you have. But what if you're not sure what the day will bring? That's where Bird Dogs comes in. As a viewer of the 49ers Report, you know I value versatility in all aspects of life. Kind of like Nick Bosa. He's good at rushing the quarterback, but also good against the ground game as well. Bird Dog shorts and pants are the perfect example of that versatility. With summer weather upon us, I've been wearing Bird Dogs on the golf course, shot an 83 the other day with Rolly, who shot a 79, to meetings, on dates, and just hanging out with friends with Bird Dogs. You'll never have to worry about changing your outfit midday again, because you can rock these shorts to work, on the golf course, a night out on the town with all of your homies, or on a date night with your significant other. Plus, they're very comfortable and you have freedom of movement. Their stretchy fabric makes them more comfortable than any other shorts or pants out there. If you're ready to try them for yourself, click the link in the description. Go to the link, birddogs.com, and when you enter the promo code CHAT, you get that free Yeti-style tumbler. I wore them on the golf course. I've worn them out on runs. I've worn them out with the homies, taking on the town, taking a couple of drinks down. You can even wear them in the swimming pool, at the beach as well. Join the comfort kingdom. I promise you, you won't regret them. They're so comfortable. Birddogs.com, promo code CHAT. So with this Nick Bosa conversation, want to touch on a couple of things here. What Bill Barnwell said, take a look at Aaron Donald's contract, because he right now is the highest paid defensive player in the history of the NFL. The value of Bosa as a player and why he deserves to get paid this much. But also, you have to pose the question, could San Francisco have a conversation in that front office? Should we trade Bosa because his contract could hinder what we want to build as a collective football unit? So a couple of questions to think about here to set the foundation. Are the Niners willing to pay Nick Bosa between $32, $35 million per year? Those are really the contractual numbers that are being floated out there right now. Do they even have a choice to either pay him or not to pay him? And if not, could the Niners look to deal Nick Bosa? Now, Aaron Donald, as of right now, is the highest paid defensive player in the history of the NFL. Of course, you have some quarterbacks out there like Patrick Mahomes, like Jalen Hurts, who are making about $50 million per year on their average annual salaries. Nick Bosa is worth all of the money that he and his camp are going to ask for during these contract talks. And you don't trade special players like Bosa, who are game changers and can change and alter games just by themselves. Nick Bosa, though, if you were to trade him, would demand an absolute haul. We're talking about a collection of draft picks, a couple in the first round. We're also talking about a couple of really quality players who could come back to San Francisco as well. And when you think about a non-quarterback taking up $30 to $35 million on your salary cap, it can prohibit you from building the roster to your liking. So that's why I'm kind of posing this question here. And a lot of people have reached out to me on Twitter today also asking that question about whether or not the Niners could trade him and if they should trade him. That's kind of the conversation going on in internet circles today. That's why I want to pass it along to the audience here. You think about Nick Bosa as a player. He has a profound impact on the game. He's arguably the best pure pass rusher and defensive end in the NFL. He has 34 sacks over the last 2 years. He's still in his mid-20s, entering his prime. When you talk about athletes who work hard, always get in the lab, that defines Bosa. He's always sharpening his craft. He constantly demands double teams, so that does open up opportunities for other players along that defensive line, and it goes to show you that when opposing offenses are planning to go up against the Niners, they have Nick Bosa in mind because they know and they understand that he can ruin the game by his lonesome. I think over time he's become an underrated run stopper. He's actually pretty good at stopping the ground game as well, shedding some of those blocks to make a tackle on the outside. He also has the speed and the athleticism to run guys down in the open field. And Nick Bosa, at the end of the day, is a game wrecker and a game changer who, when he is on the football field, even if he's not sacking the quarterback, if he has a quarterback hit, he has a quarterback pressure, he's altering the game at the very least. And sometimes I look at sacks like wins and losses for a pitcher. It's a statistic that doesn't tell the full story. For instance, a pitcher could go out there and have a 2.5 ERA, but if he's on a bad team or has bad luck, he goes 5-15 if the team doesn't score runs. That doesn't mean that he's a bad pitcher, right? Nick Bosa could have 10 sacks as compared to 18.5 last year, but what if he goes out there and has 50 quarterback pressures, and a lot of those pressures result in the quarterback making a bad throw to get you off the field on a third down, or even better, fumbling the football, or throwing an interception. Like, it doesn't register as a sack, but still impactful numbers indeed. Now, if you want the Niners to pay Nick Bosa, inevitably, between $32, $35 million, make sure you hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. The last 2 seasons, Bosa has been a boss. Why we're having this conversation, it's what Bill Barnwell said in that ESPN article. He said, coming off of a season in which he was Defensive Player of the Year, finished 6th in the league's MVP balloting. That's impressive, by the way, for a defensive end. The 49ers really have no choice but to make their star edge rusher the highest paid defensive player in league history. A big round number is coming. Bosa should be the first defensive player in league history to average more than $30 million per season on a multi-year deal. And with this Nick Bosa contract, Nick Bosa and his agent have all of the leverage. They can go to the negotiating table and say, Nick Bosa is entering his prime. He's coming off 2 consecutive seasons with 15.5 and 18.5 sacks respectively. When Aaron Donald got that contract, making him the highest paid defensive player in the history of the sport, he was a lot older. And at the tail end of his prime, Nick Bosa is not. And Bosa does deserve to be the highest paid defensive player in the history of the NFL. So Bill Barnwell is right. The 49ers have no choice, and the 49ers have no leverage. If the Niners don't want to pay Nick Bosa, another team across the NFL is going to give him that salary of $32 to $35 million on an average annual value basis. Because outside of quarterbacks, you can make the argument that tackles, right tackle, left tackle, and edge rushers, the 2 most important or 3 most important positions on a roster. Because my rules for constructing a football team, you have to have a quarterback, you want to be able to protect that quarterback, and you want to have to get after that quarterback as well. And the production, tape, and impact that he has on the game certainly tell the story. When Nick Bosa is on the field, opposing offenses understand that, and they always have an eye out for number 97 because they want to keep their quarterback upright, and if they don't, Nick Bosa is going to come charging in with the sack. They also understand that if he doesn't sack the quarterback, he can hit them, which could then lead to a game-altering turnover. This is the type of impact that Nick Bosa has, and This is why Nick Bosa is setting himself up for an absolutely massive, massive payday where I believe it's inevitable that he is going to overtake Aaron Donald as the highest paid defensive player in the history of the sport. And when we talk about the numbers here, even when he was a rookie in 2019, he still had a really productive season. Last 2 years as well, Bosa's been tearing it up. 2021, 15.5 sacks, 32 quarterback hits, 21 tackles for loss, 4 forced fumbles, 52 tackles. You're thinking there's no way he can have a better season in 2022 than he had in 2021, right? Wrong. He did it. 18.5 sacks, 3 more than what he had the season prior. He had 16 more quarterback hits. He was so active week in, week out. And I even look at a game like he had against the Las Vegas Raiders when that pressure late led to that interception to Tashawn Gibson to help seal the deal for San Francisco to win that football game. The next question also becomes, what will a Nick Bosa contract look like? First, let's set the barometer for what Nick Bosa is going to demand, and you can't really come up with a solution outside of what Aaron Donald got. This is what Aaron Donald received from the Los Angeles Rams. 3-year deal, $95 million in total money, average annual value of $31.6 million, total guaranteed money, 95. Now, Aaron Donald, a little bit older at the time. Nick Bosa, a lot younger. So he's going to get more years, more money because of that. His average annual value, I think, is going to be more as well because he wants to have the crown as the highest paid player in the history of football on the defensive side of the ball, especially with the NFL salary cap increasing in the couple of years after that Aaron Donald contract, and the guaranteed money is also going to be more. So this, as of right now, is my Nick Bosa contract projection. This is what I think he's going to get. I think he's going to get more years than Donald. He's going to get more guaranteed money. The average annual salary is also going to be more by a tick. $32 million, right in that range of what Bill Barnwell said. It honestly could become 35. A Chris Jones contract extension with the Chiefs could also alter things a little bit as well. And then the guaranteed money also overtaking Donald's figures as well. Now, of course, when you're paying a player this much money, and when you're making this type of investment, there are risks that come with it. There are concerns because it's a lot of money to fork over. Nick Bosa has been injured in his career. In 2020, he did tear his ACL in his second year against the New York Jets in the Meadowlands. And then going back to his time at Ohio State, his final year in Columbus, he had a core muscle injury that cut his season short. And it was a shame for all of us as football fans because we weren't able to see a full season of Chase Young and Nick Bosa. Can you imagine? Quarterbacks would have been trembling in their boots, right? Having to take on that edge rusher combo. They only played together a few games that season in 2018. So I asked you this question at the top of the show, and I tried to outline all of the points here on the 49ers Report today. If Nick Bosa demands, let's say $35 million is the asking price, what would you do? P for pay him, T for trade him. Let me know. I know a lot of you are going to be fired up, but I hope we started the conversation here on the show.